Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As always, first time watching, welcome in general. Today we're going to be working on the TJ again. I mentioned in one of the earlier videos that I was dissatisfied with the amount of brake dust that these front brakes were creating. Although they work just fine, I think they used some pretty cheap pads. I mentioned that I am thinking about maybe doing some drilled and slotted rotors. Some people have mentioned, well, those aren't good for mud and all that, they get filled up with crap. That's fine, I understand that, it makes total sense. However, I also said I'm not really going to be off-roading it, and there might be a potential of pulling a small trailer, yada yada. I wanted some better brakes. I don't think it's going to be detrimental if I put drilled and slotted rotors on this Jeep for my applications. So I think we're going to be all right. If you feel differently, feel free to comment in the comment section and let me know how wrong I am. It's possible. I said it before, I've had a TJ before, so I'm a little bit familiar, but maybe there's some reason why I really shouldn't do that when I'm not going to be running in mud and all that. Anyway, long story short, this video I'm going to have to film over the course of however long it takes for parts to come in, but this is a 99. So apparently mid-year they changed something with the brakes. So I got to take some stuff apart before I order crap and make sure that I'm ordering the right stuff. Now there's a ton of different measurements having to do with the spacing of the hub, and sometimes it's you need 3/4 of an inch here, or it's some other measurement, whatever, I don't know. I found the brakes that I think I want to go with, and they're on Rock Auto, they're PowerStop brakes. It's new calipers, ceramic pads, all the parts and pieces that go together with that whole situation. And I'm going to be looking for the measurements that they call out, which is either 3-inch or 3.5 inch. As I figure out what exact measurement it says, because it doesn't really tell you where they're getting that measurement, but as I figure that out, I'll put it in the video. Once I get everything all figured out, I'll order it, and then we'll pick the video back up after the crap comes in, and we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to just take the wheel off and see if there's anything that I can feasibly measure off of without having to tear it apart completely. So we'll see how that goes. I'm gonna grab the camera. I'll show you what I see so far. I'm gonna take a couple measurements and then we'll bring you back in. But right off the bat, so everything is in decent shape. You can see there's plenty of actual pad surface there. They are working. There's not a problem with that. You can see though they are pretty heavily grooved. So I'm thinking they may have just done a pad slap on it and called it good with that, but these are definitely not true anymore. And I did mention in the other video they do have a little bit of pulsation from possibly a warped rotor. So I'm gonna figure out what exact measurements they're calling for, and then I'll show you what measurements I came up with, and we'll go from there. All right, I think I got it figured out. Got a couple of different measurements that they give you, either 3 inches or 3.25 inches, or 78 millimeters or 82 millimeters is the measurements they give you. And that's from this front face right here to the back face that the back pad rides on. We are just under the 78 millimeter, which would be, that's not abnormal. I mean, obviously These, you know, these could have been turned, so they might be a little bit thinner than that. They definitely are not the 82 millimeter or 3 1/4. So I believe we've got the after the switch version. So I'm going to get these ordered up, and whenever the parts come in, we will get back on it and we will start replacing all of this crap. Like I said, what I'm going to order is going to be their drilled and slotted rotors. They are going to come with a new caliper, just because I don't know I mean, they work, but I don't know what the condition of these calipers is. I'm going to have to take it all apart anyway. I may as well go ahead and put the new calipers on there. And apparently the ones that come in the kit are powder coated red, because I guess that means performance. But, you know, whatever, who cares about that? You're not really going to see them anyway. But they do have high performance ceramic brake pads that go with them. I'd rather just buy the whole matching set. I don't like just piecing stuff together. If I'm going to do it, and that's probably the problem with most of my projects, is they snowball and then I end up spending more money than I really have to. I'm not doing a budget build on this. I want it to be right. So we're going to go ahead and get the parts ordered up, and we'll bring you back around when we get to that point. You can see here, I don't know if the light was any good, but I mean, they are really quite a few grooves in them. So I think it's time. I don't turn rotors. I think it's a waste of time, and I feel it. I know it's safe, but I don't feel like it's safe. Just personal thought. So, all right, we'll catch you when the new stuff comes in. All right, guys, so it's about a week and a half later, but we're back to going ahead and getting going with the brakes on the TJ here. So, had to order the parts and everything. I know in the first clip kind of showed you how I measured for them. While I was checking stuff, did notice that my front hubs have a little bit of play in them, so we're going to go ahead and replace the hubs while we're at it too. Should be relatively simple. I don't know, haven't worked on them before, but we'll kind of take you along for the ride on that. But what I have is the new hub. It is for my particular application, is a Moog 513158 hub. And then I ended up, like I said, I went with the drilled and slotted rotors. You'll get a better shot of these once you take them out of the bag, but I prefer to not get stuff all greasy and crap until I have to. But like I said, drilled and slotted. And we also have, it was all part of the kit, new pads. This is all PowerStop brand. They are a ceramic pad, and this kit also comes with new calipers. And they're even red, so you know that they're performance now, I guess. Right? Isn't that how you make your brakes better, is paint them red? I don't know. The Honda kids like to. So anyway, new calipers. It was all part of a kit. I figured might as well go ahead and replace everything. I did also purchase some new brake lines to go from the hard line down to the caliper, and those are over on the bench over there, so I'll have to grab those. I'll get you the part number for those and everything if I remember. Heck, I might even put them in the actual description of the video. But we'll get the wheel pulled off and start tearing stuff apart, get the hubs replaced first, then we'll rebuild the brakes. Might as well, while we're in there, go ahead and flush all the fluid out. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Alright, so it might not have shown up real well on the time lapse, so I'll kind of go over what I did. If you're doing just the hubs, then you're going to have to get this rotor off of the hub. You saw I smacked around on it with a hammer, mine were seized on there. I'm not screwing around with trying to get them broke free because I'm replacing the rotors anyway, so I just took it all off in one assembly. To do that, you've got 3 13mm 12-point bolts on the back side. Just unbolt them, unit pulls out, clean up the surfaces. You can actually pull your axles out and kind of clean all that crap up too. So that's really not a big deal to do that. The center nut right here should be, it's a 36mm nut on your axle. So you're going to want to make sure that you have a 36mm socket for that. New castle or new cotter pins on your castle nut every time. Don't reuse cotter pins. So yeah, take that out, take the 3 bolts out of the back, whole unit pulls off, new unit goes back on. Really not a big deal. Brakes, pretty simple. The new calipers go on exactly the same as the old ones because they're basically the same thing except they're painted red, if we're real honest. Hoses. The hoses, actually one nice thing about the Jeeps is that the hose is actually attached to the frame with its own little built-in bracket on the hose with a T40 Torx. Now if you live somewhere where there's a lot of rust like I do, but you're working on a Jeep that has been where there's rust issues, that's probably going to be kind of a pain to get off. This Jeep came out of Florida, so it hasn't seen a Midwest winter yet, so it came right out, no problem. The actual brake line itself, make sure you lube those, spray them down with some penetrant, whatnot. Use line wrenches on them, at least to get them broke free. Make sure you aren't spinning the line with the actual fitting. But it is a 3/8 line wrench for these. And then on the back side for where the banjo bolt, or for the banjo bolt actually, it is a 9/16 for the banjo bolt. So pretty self-explanatory, goes apart, or goes together the same way it came apart, and it's just 2 bolts holding on the caliper. This setup does come with new bolts for the slides, and it comes with some grease. Make sure you grease that. Tells you to put a little bit of grease on the back sides of the pads. Backside, don't put it on the pad surface. And when you're dealing with your pads, try to clean up your hands so you're not transferring grease and crap onto the pad surface. You saw I sprayed down the rotor, the back side of the rotor before I stuck it on, and after I had it all together, sprayed down the front side so that we can get any contaminants and grease and garbage off of the actual contact surface. It does come, the kit comes with shims for the pads. If you're, where the pads slide, if they are not a nice snug fit, then make sure you use the shims to kind of make up for that space. Mine went right on there. I must not have any wear on the caliper brackets or anything. But it's not a bad idea to take and kind of clean up that surface so the pads can slide freely across that. And it does say to put grease on those as well. I put this one together without putting grease on it, but I will probably pull it back off, put a little bit of grease on there, put it back together. Again, I didn't bother cleaning up the surfaces on this because I don't really have any rust on this particular Jeep. So the other side is going to be the same as this side, so I'm not going to bother filming that at all, or I guess we aren't filming anymore, it's all digital. Recording that, I'm not going to bother recording it anymore. So that's kind of all it is to it. Throw the wheels back on, and then there's a break-in procedure. I'll go through that when the time comes for that. One thing I forgot to mention, if you think that you might have to ever take this assembly back off again, I use some anti-seize. Careful with this crap, it gets everywhere. But I put it on the back side, well, it'll be the front side of the hub, back side of the rotor, and around the edge there, so that if it ever has to come back off in the future, it hopefully won't be rusted on and it won't be an issue. So that's where I'm at with things. Alright guys, I forgot to hit the record button, but got the brakes all bled. Just have to take it for a drive, but I gotta wait a little bit here. Just finished raining, so in order to bed the brakes, you gotta do a few rapid or heavy braking periods, and don't really want to do that while the roads are wet because it's probably just going to lock up the tires. So yeah, as far as bleeding the brakes go, I got one of these vacuum bleeders. They work really well. That's actually what I used on the Cutlass when I did the brake line replacement and that's in another video. Make sure you check that out. So I'm gonna clean myself up just a little bit here, kind of try to clean up some of my mess in the garage, and then we will take this for a spin and get the new pads bedded in. Alright guys, that's going to wrap up this video. I tried to find my suction cup mount to take you for the break-in procedure, but I couldn't find it. So you didn't miss much though. All it is basically is going up to 40 mile an hour and then aggressively braking down to around 10 mile an hour. Do that 5 times, and then you do it a couple of 5 times more, going like 35 down to 5 mile an hour with moderate braking, and then you drive around for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever, let the brakes cool off. It's a typical break-in procedure for new pads, so not a huge deal. Everything seems to be going all right with it. The brakes are definitely better than they were before. They no longer have the warped rotor and the shutter that comes from that and all that crap, so that's great. A lot more tolerable to drive. So as far as, are they significantly stronger brakes than what was on there? Not necessarily, but probably if I do tow or anything like that with it in the future, I don't know, I guess they'll probably do better than just standard rotors. I don't know. If I would have replaced everything anyway, I would have paid about the same. On that note, I will leave something in the description with the model number so that you guys can look it up if you want to do the same upgrade to that. Same with hubs, brake lines, all that stuff. I'll try to put those numbers in the description. And as far as where you buy them, that's up to you. Originally I found this brake setup on Rock Auto. Then I found it cheaper on Amazon. Am I going to recommend you go the Amazon route? Well, I mean, that's kind of your call. You know, if you've watched my other videos, I buy a lot of stuff on Amazon, but that may possibly be changing because Amazon doesn't seem to want to deliver stuff like they used to. I've been having some issues with Amazon saying when you place the order that it's going to be delivered within a couple days, and you know, order by this time to receive it by this day. Then you check out and all of a sudden the date's changed to 2 days later after that. And then when you don't see it, then they tell you, oh, it's been delivered. Well, no, it hasn't. And then it shows up a day or 2 later. So I'm a little annoyed with Amazon right now, and I've had way too many calls into customer service complaining that they aren't shipping items on time. So you buy the stuff where you want to. That's about all I can say about that. Anyway, if you like the video, hit the thumbs up, you know, hit the subscribe to the channel so you know when new stuff is released. I don't have set schedule like weekly that I do stuff. I kind of do it as I have time to edit. So, sorry, have a real job, but I got to get cleaned up and go to a friend's birthday party. So until next time, we'll catch you later. Thanks for watching.